Okay. So in the last session, we have started the network layer chapter. And in the network layer chapter, we have discussed certain design goals for the network layer. Okay, what network layer wants to achieve and what network layer should achieve. That is what we have discussed. So can you please tell me what we have discussed in the last session? What was the last topic? Yes. Last topic. So whether we have discussed the implementation of connection-less services or not, or we have discussed up to this slide which is available on your screen, services provided to the transport layer. So can you please acknowledge? See, I'm not able to hear anyone. Am I audible or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So last topic, we have started this network layer chapter or not?
Yes, we have started.
So important slides are network layer design issues and services provided to the transport layer. Okay, these are the two important slides. I think we have discussed these two slides. So can you please acknowledge whether we have discussed the services provided to the transport layer this slide or not? See, before we go and discuss and before we start the session, first of all, let me start the recording and let me provide you the introduction of the network layer. So in network layer deals with routing. Okay, network layer deals with routing, and it is dealing with the routing. It means it is the responsibility of the router. Yes, so recording is started. It is the responsibility of the router to perform the routing, and you all know very well the important function of the network layer is to perform routing. So please go through with this slide which is available on your screen and see it carefully. So the purpose of the network layer is to perform the routing, and I think now we have 95 attendees. So let me explain you the purpose of the network layer. Network layer performs routing, and routing is the responsibility of the router. Okay, router performs routing. So routing, you all know very well, routing, it means it is the process of establishing the optimum path or the shortest path. And to perform routing, it requires what? IP address. So without IP address, if you don't have the IP address, then you cannot perform routing. Now, the important point is, do you know what is the difference between connection oriented service and connection less service? Because the slide which is available in our chapter presentation, it is the slide of implementation of connection less service. Okay, it is the slide of implementation of connection less service. So to learn what is connection less service, it requires a knowledge of connection oriented service as well. So can you please tell me what is the difference between connection oriented service and connection less service? Because the purpose of TCP/IP protocol is to support connection oriented service as well as connection less service. So what is connection oriented service and what is connection less service? Is there anyone who can explain me the difference between connection oriented service and connection less service? Let me explain you the slide of connection less service. See, if the packets are routed independently, it means, please listen me carefully. In a network, if you have multiple paths available to reach from sender to receiver, it means you can send data from sender to receiver via path 1. You can send data from sender to receiver via path 2. So if multiple paths are there and if packets are routed, packets are sent across multiple paths, okay, same sender wants to communicate with the same receiver, okay, sender to receiver communication is there, but sender is following path 1 for packet 1, sender is following path 2 for packet 2. So if all the packets are sent to the receiver by following independent path, multiple path, then that is known as connection less service. And in connection oriented service, all the packets will follow the same path and acknowledgement will be received from receiver. In connection oriented service, packets have to follow same path and receiver has to generate the acknowledgement. In connection less service, each and every packet follows independent path, and no acknowledgement will be sent by the receiver in the case of connection less service. So at network layer, IP protocol, you all know very well, at the transport layer, we have TCP and UDP. Two options are available at the transport layer, but at the network layer we have IP protocol. So IP protocol, internet protocol, IP protocol is connection less protocol. It is totally connection less protocol, while transport layer, at the transport layer you have two options, TCP and UDP. If you use TCP, then it is connection oriented, and if you use UDP, then it is connection less. So in connection less service, now refer the points which are available on your screen. No advanced setup is needed in connection less service. Packets are called datagram in connection less service, and subnet called datagram subnet. It means the network in which you have implemented connection less service, that particular network is known as datagram subnet. So here there are two important points which we have to discuss, and those points are difference between connection oriented service and connection less service. So connection oriented service and connection less service. Now I have already informed you that IP protocol works at the network layer, and we are discussing network layer right now. So at network layer, packets are sent and received. Data available at the network layer is known as packet. Okay, data, whatever the content which is available at the network layer, that content is known as a packet. So IP protocol follows connection less service, but if you combine IP with TCP, then it is a connection oriented service. If you combine IP with UDP, then it is connection less service. So let me provide you the idea, like at the transport layer if you use TCP, and at the network layer if you use IP, then this combination is known as connection oriented combination, and at the network layer if you use UDP, and at the transport layer if you use UDP, and at the network layer if you use IP, then it is connection less combination. Okay, this combination is known as connection less service, and TCP IP combination is known as connection oriented service. So at transport layer you have two options, TCP and UDP, but at the network layer you have only one option, that is IP. So is there anyone who can explain me the difference between connection less service and connection oriented service? What is the difference between connection less service and connection oriented service? Now, connection less service is known as unreliable service, and connection oriented service is known as reliable service. So what is the difference between connection oriented and connection less service? Why connection oriented service is known as reliable and why connection less service is known as unreliable? Who will explain me the difference between connection oriented and connection less service? What is connection oriented communication and what is connection less communication?
Sir, in connection oriented there is no checks and balance system. So there is no acknowledgement. In connection less there is no checks and balance. Therefore, there is no acknowledgement which is sent back, and henceforth it is unreliable because you don't exactly know whether the packet has been sent to has been received or not.
Correct.
Whereas in connection oriented you have the acknowledgement sending system, and also you exactly know like where the packet is, like not by location, by the virtue of location, but clearly whether it has been at the receiving end of the system or not.
Correct.
That is at least known to the system. If no acknowledgement has been received, or if a negative acknowledgement has been received, then you can resend the packets as well. And if the same continues for at least 3 to 4 times, it would disconnect. Whereas the same won't happen in connectionless, and thereby it is way more reliable.
Correct. Very good. So see, the important point is, if I want to send 10 packets, okay, to some receiver, I want to transmit 10 packets to some receiver, then in that particular case, if you want to track the individual packet, like packet 2, packet 5, packet 10, packet 7, then packet tracking, if you want to track the packet, then it is supported by connection oriented service only. Connection oriented service helps you to track the packet, and if any packet is not received, then there is a facility of retransmission. There is a facility called retransmission. This facility is available in connection oriented service. In connection less service, it is not possible to track the individual packet. So once you send the packet, sender will have no idea whether the packet is successfully received or not. And that's why the reason behind calling connection less service as unreliable is this reason only. In connection less service, it is not possible to track the packet. it is not possible to know that whether the packet is received or not. So connectionless service is a simple service. It is the most simple service of communication. And in connection oriented service, once you send packet 1, receiver will acknowledge that I have received packet 1. Once you send packet 2, receiver will acknowledge I have received packet 2. The other important thing is, after sending the packet, I am talking about connection oriented service. I am talking about connection oriented service. So please listen me carefully. In connection oriented service, once the packet is sent, sender activates retransmission timer, and that the duration of the retransmission timer can be 5 seconds, 10 seconds, it depends on the network delay and all. But if the retransmission timer value is 5 seconds, please listen me carefully. Once the sender sends the packet towards the receiver, it will activate the retransmission timer. Now, if the retransmission timer expires, like if we consider the time of retransmission timer equals to 10 seconds, 5 seconds, if that timer expires and within that time frame of the retransmission timer, if the acknowledgement is not received, it means sender will assume that packet 1 is not sent, it is not received properly, and after expiring the retransmission timer, sender will retransmit that packet again. So this facility is supported by connection oriented service. If you use TCP at the transport layer, see the data is available on your screen. If you use TCP protocol at the transport layer and IP protocol at the network layer, then this combination will create connection oriented communication. If you use UDP at the transport layer and IP protocol at the network layer, see, we don't have any option at the network layer, we have to use IP only. So UDP IP combination is connectionless and TCP IP combination is connection oriented communication. And majority of the protocols which are working at the application layer, majority of the protocol like HTTP, SMTP, then FTP, and then some other protocols. So majority of them are using TCP at the transport layer. You all know very well. At the application layer, if we consider the application layer, then at application layer we have HTTP protocol, SMTP protocol, we have FTP protocol, and so on. Okay, there are multiple protocols available at the application layer. So application layer you have multiple option. At the transport layer you have 2 options. At the network layer you have only 1 option. So HTTP uses TCP, SMTP uses TCP, FTP uses TCP. And if you want to know about the name of the protocol which uses UDP at the transport layer, then SNMP, then SNMP protocol is there, then we have DNS protocol. These are the examples. Last 2 protocols are the examples of the protocols which are using UDP at the transport layer. SNMP and DNS uses UDP at the transport layer. Whereas if you consider HTTP, SMTP and FTP, then they use this TCP at the transport layer. So the important point is connection oriented communication is reliable communication and connectionless communication is unreliable communication. Now the network which is following connection oriented communication is known as virtual circuit network. It is known as a virtual circuit network, and the network which is following connectionless communication is known as a datagram network. You can see datagram subnet, the name is given. So if the network follows connectionless approach, then that network is known as datagram network. If the network follows connection oriented approach, then that network is known as virtual circuit network. So now let me explain to the next slide of the network layer. You can see network layer, it creates or it follows routing table. So routing table for each and every individual router, you can see router A is there, router B, C, D, E, F, multiple routers are available. So those router, like 6 routers are available in this topology. So each and every router has to maintain the routing table, and the routing table simple routing table is available on your screen. You can see. If you want to check the A's routing table, A, okay, router A is there, router C is there, and router E is there. So different routers are given. Initially, in the routing table of router A, if you want to reach from A to A, then next hop will be dash, because A itself it is the router. If you want to reach from A to B, then the next hop is B, that is clearly visible. If you want to reach from A to C, then the next hop is C, because B and C are directly connected. If you want to reach from A to D, then the next hop is B. So simple routing table is available on your screen, and later on it is possible that the routing table may change. So you can see that A's routing table, check the A's routing table. Initially, it is showing that if you want to reach from A to E, then the next hop is C. But later on, A will modify the routing table, and in the later stage, if you want to reach from A to E, then the next hop is B. So can you tell me what is the reason why A has changed the next hop from C to B? If A wants to reach to E, you can see if A wants to send data to E, then A can send data to E via B and via C. Initially, A has indicated that A to E is possible through C only. Next hop should be C. But in the later stage, A has modified the routing table, and now A is saying that if A wants to send data to E, then the next hop should be B only. So can you tell me why the routing table is modified? Similarly, if A wants to send data to F, then the next hop is C initially. But now in the later stage, you can see the second table, A's second table, later table. So in the later stage, A is saying that if A wants to send data to F, then the next hop should be B. So entries are modified in the last two rows. Last two rows are modified. So can you tell me why last two rows are modified? Why the entries available in the last two rows are modified? Please give your input related with this. What is the reason? You all know very well. You have the idea about static routing. You have the idea about dynamic routing. So what is the reason behind changing the next hop by router A from C to B? I have said that multiple paths are available. Then in that particular case, router has to take the routing decision, and router will take the routing decision based on the routing table only. So whatever which is available in the routing table, router will blindly follow the routing table. Router will not think of its own. It has to follow the routing table, but for creating the routing table, for appending the entries into the routing table, router has to follow some algorithm. This routing table, the routing table which are available on your screen, if you see the routing table of A, if you see the routing table of C, if you see the routing table of E, then these are the routing tables which are created by following some method. They are not randomly created. They are not randomly created. So why A has changed the next hop from C to B to reach from A to E or to reach from A to F? Why the values are changed? Host 1 to host 2 communication. Host computer H1 is a sender, H2 is a receiver. You can see two computers are available on your screen. And between two computers, you have 6 routers available and multiple paths are available. So it is indicated that it is shown that H1, host 1, has sent packet 1, 2 and 3 via C, and host 1 has sent packet number 4 via B. This diagram is the diagram of connectionless service. This is the diagram of connectionless service. Host 1, sender has sent 4 packets. 3 of them are following path 1 and packet number 4 is following path 2. So if every packet follows independent path, if each and every individual packet follows independent path, if all the packets are not following the same path, then this is the example of connectionless service. This is the example of connectionless service. And why the routing tables are modified, the reason is A has initially thought of C, but after some time A has realized that the distance between A and B is short. The distance between A and B is short. So if the distance is short between A and B, then it will incur less propagation delay. It will incur less delay. It will have less delay in this particular link from A to B. So if the delay is less, then we should follow that particular path. Ultimately, the goal of router is to follow the shortest path. The goal of router is to follow the shortest path. And to follow the shortest path, router can manipulate the entries of the routing table. Now let me explain you the diagram of connection oriented service. So I hope that the diagram of connectionless service is clear to all of you. You can see, please listen me carefully. You can see that packet 1, packet 2 and packet 3, they are sent via C, and packet 4 is sent via path or via next hop B. So 4 packets are sent, 3 have followed the path via C and 1 has followed the path via B. So this is the example of connectionless service. So the diagram, network diagram which is available on your screen, this network is known as datagram subnet or datagram network because this network is following connectionless approach. So if you have any question, any query related with the diagram which is available on your screen, then you can ask me the question. Do you have any query about what is connectionless service? Feel free to ask me the question if you have related with what is connectionless service. The routing tables which are shown on your screen, these are the sample routing table. So whatever the logic which is followed, we have discussed about the logic like why the next hop, why A has changed the next hop from C to B. We have discussed one of the logic behind changing the routing table, but the router can follow the routing algorithm, and by following the routing algorithm, router can change the routing table. Now let me discuss the connection oriented service. So I think we have already discussed the connection oriented service, but I have already said, and you are aware that the network which is following connection oriented approach, if you apply connection oriented approach in this topology, if you apply connection oriented approach in this particular topology, then how host 1 and host 2 will communicate? How they will communicate? Show you the diagram. So path from source router to destination router must be established before any data packet can be sent. So in virtual circuit subnet, path between sender and receiver is established first, and then the actual data transmission will start. Whereas in connectionless approach, datagram subnet approach, path setup is not required. Router can send the data, router can send the packet. without establishing the path. But in virtual circuit subnet is the subnet which is following connection oriented communication. Path setup is compulsory. So between sender and receiver, some path will be established. You can see. So H1 to H2 communication. H1 wants to send 4 packets. We have already seen. Host 1, sender 1 wants to send 4 packets. So in connection oriented communication, you can see that packet 1, 2, 3 and 4, all these 4 packets are following the same path, and all these 4 packets are sent via common hop, common next hop, that is C. Okay, so this is known as virtual circuit subnet. The subnetwork, the network which is following connection oriented approach, is known as virtual circuit subnet. Now A stable and B stable, sorry, A stable is there, C stable is there, and E stable is given. So input and output, input line or in line and out line, two lines are available, two different tables are given with A, with C and with E. So can you explain me this? What is A stable, what is C stable and what is E stable? What is in and what is out? Compare it with the previous diagram. In the previous diagram, we were having the routing table of A, routing table of C and routing table of E. The diagram which is available on your screen is the diagram of virtual circuit subnet. It means this network is following connection oriented communication. So what is A's table? H1 then 1, H3 then 1 in, and then in out you have C and then 1, C and then 2. What do you mean by this? Think about what is in and what is out. Is there any logic behind considering H1 1, H3 1, C 1 and C 2? I am talking about A stable. Yes. Do you have any idea why H1 and 1, why H3 and 1? Why these values are available, why these values are given? Actually, in virtual circuit subnetwork, the router follows routing table with 3 entries. One is a destination network, second entry is next hop, and third is a cost. Okay. So in the routing table, minimum 3 entries are required: destination, network, next hop, and cost. And cost will be calculated by following distance, by following delay, by following any other factor as well. Any network performance parameter can be followed to calculate the cost. Okay, so minimum entries which are required in the routing table, those entries are 3. One is destination network, next is a next hop, and third is a cost. So what is given below the diagram of virtual circuit subnet? A stable, C stable, and E stable. What is it? this value 1 and 2 which are available, this value 1 and 2 indicates the numbers of packets which are sent via input interface and output interface. A has to maintain the queue. Every device has to maintain the queue. So A is the router. A has to manage the input queue and A has to manage the output queue. So the data which is coming to the A, those data will be copied into the input queue. And whenever the data leaves from A, it will be copied to output queue and then the data will be forwarded. So router has to manage the queue, router has to manage the buffer, and in the buffer router has to copy the incoming packet and outgoing packet both. Now can you explain me what is A stable, C stable and E stable? Let me mark the attendance, just a minute. In the meanwhile, you can focus on the diagram. So your attendance is marked. So please search about label switching. We will discuss this slide, what is in and what is out, why there are two entries available in A's table related with C. If you consider the output port, if you consider the output interface or out queue. So we'll discuss it. But for now, if you have any idea about A stable, C stable and E stable, then you can discuss. If you are facing difficulty in terms of interpreting the values which are available, then I will explain you. So now let me discuss the next slide, and then the next session we will again discuss this A stable, C stable and E stable. So search about the label switching and then you can provide your input. If you will not be in a position to explain me this label switching, then I will explain you, don't worry. Now if we compare the datagram subnet and virtual circuit subnet, then we can compare datagram subnet and virtual circuit subnet by following some parameters, and those parameters are available on your screen. Circuit setup, it means path setup is not needed in datagram subnet, while the path setup is required in virtual circuit subnet. Virtual circuit subnet, it means the network which is following connection oriented approach, and datagram subnet, it means the network which is following connection less approach. Now if we consider address or addressing, then each packet contains the full source and destination address in datagram subnet. In virtual circuit subnet, each packet contains a short VC number. So what is VC number? That point we can consider like if sender is following data to receiver, and one logical path, one link is created, one logical path or one link is created, then whatever the link which is created between sender and receiver, that link will be having a one value, one number you can assign to that particular link, one value you can assign to that particular link, and that value is known as a VC number. Okay, virtual circuit number. Virtual circuit, it means the virtual path. State information, routers do not hold state information about connections in virtual circuit subnet. Each VC requires router table space for connection. So right now you don't need to worry about it. Whatever the point which we have discussed, those points are enough for the explaining or for the explanation of virtual circuit subnet and datagram subnet. Routing, each packet routed independently, we have already discussed. If the intermediate device fail, you can see effect of router failure. If the device or if the router fails, then none or except for the packets lost during the crash. So if the packets are lost in datagram subnet, it is very difficult to track it. Whereas in virtual circuit subnet, you can track it and you can send the you can retransmit those packets. Quality of service, it is very difficult to achieve quality of service. It means if you want to use datagram subnet for real-time communication, if you want to use datagram subnet for video conferencing or some live event, then it is very difficult to achieve quality of service in datagram subnet. Whereas in virtual circuit subnet, you can achieve quality of service. And if you consider the congestion control, it means the traffic. If you consider the traffic, network traffic, then it is very difficult to deal with the network traffic in datagram subnet. And in virtual circuit subnet, you can deal with the congestion, you can deal with the network traffic, because you have some mechanisms imposed through which you can track the packet. You have some mechanisms imposed through which you can identify the network traffic, whether the network traffic is severe, whether the network traffic is moderate, whether the network traffic is low. It is possible to track everything. So let me stop here. Yes, do you have any question, any query related with the points which we have discussed today? So let me stop the recording. Okay, so with this note, now let me end the session over here. Thank you very much for joining this session. Now you can leave.